Hi there. This week on Zippin Media's podcast, we're going to be talking about the 5 ways to keep your video from being stale.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back. This is Aaron Zippin.
I'm Ezra Katz. And so, Aaron, this week, what did we do this week at Zippin Media?
Well, we prepared for a hurricane.
Yeah.
And we didn't have too many productions that we thought we were going to have because the hurricane came through kind of really quickly, found out that none of the projects we were going to do were going to happen, and they all got postponed. So we basically just prepared for a hurricane. We did have one project that we did this week with Boy Scouts, which was really nice. And that was pretty much the majority of the work we did this week. Of course, we had some ongoing projects that we worked with our clients with, and we did some pre-production for some other productions as well.
Yeah, and of course, all the projects that got postponed last week are now coming up the next week and the week after that. So
yeah, so doubling up.
Yes.
What we originally were going to have. So that's okay too, and we're very excited about it. We were in discussions also this week about doing some animation projects with an educational institute, which was a lot of fun, and hopefully we're going to be being able to show that soon if we land that. That'd be nice.
That'd be amazing. And so for our video showcase this week, we're doing C&S Wholesale Grocers. Aaron, can you tell me a little bit about the project?
Yeah, so C&S is an ongoing client of ours, and they're great. All the people there we work with are awesome. And it's a really great company. We're going to be showing you a video about their culture, and this was for a recruitment for their drivers, to their driving team. And the drivers there are awesome. They're so fun, and they're really great. And they're actually looking for drivers. So this is one of the videos that is going to be on their page for finding new drivers for their team. Let's take a look.
The culture here at C&S is extremely positive from a standpoint that we all enjoy our work. We have so much good times and fun times as we're carrying out the C&S mission.
At C&S, one of our values is every person matters. And we try to instill that into our folks. We keep them informed of what's going on, and making them feel part of the team.
An inclusive culture where we all work together. It's a fun environment. We enjoy working together, and we enjoy the things that we do.
The culture with C&S is pretty much a day-to-day. We see each other every day. As a matter of fact, it's a family away from family.
I like the family atmosphere that we have at C&S. Everyone's really friendly and jovial, and we get along great. It's a real family atmosphere.
The appreciation is a big part of it. We have a cohesive work environment where the drivers are included, try to recognize them for good performance. We do a lot of things to incorporate value into the operation with drivers. We do events with drivers like the Truck Driving Championship, Driver Appreciation Week, make sure that they are engaged in the operation.
Honestly, I get appreciated every day. My boss, he tells me, hey, Sean, I appreciate everything you're doing with us in his office as well as on.
So as you can see, C&S has a great culture. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more, we'll put a link to their recruitment website in the description of this video.
Absolutely. So, that video is a good description of what we were talking about this week. What we want to talk about is making sure your videos have legs, and making sure that they last and that they're evergreen as best as possible. So there's 5 different things we would like to talk to you about how to keep your video as long as possible. It's an investment, so we want to make sure that you can use it for the long run.
Yeah, so here are the 5 tips. Here are the 5 tips to get the most longevity out of your videos. So the first one is you want to avoid specific dates and times. For a podcast like this, we had a bunch of timely stuff at the beginning of it, talking about a hurricane, everything like that. But if you're doing a general marketing piece, you want to stick to general statements. Don't say 5 years ago, say over 5 years ago. Another thing that's very helpful is you want to make sure you're not making any statements about the future. So you don't want to say something like, oh, we're very excited for this product to be out in the next 6 months. 1, you might miss the deadline, and 2, as soon as that product comes out, your video is out of date.
Yeah, predictions are probably not the best bet either. So if you can make some predictions, make sure they're either right or, once the predictions become right or wrong, that video is now out of date. So, it's a good idea not to make any predictions as well.
Yeah, and so the second tip there is you want to avoid any specifics when it comes to names and addresses. It's perfectly fine if you want to add a lower third with the name of an employee on your video. But oftentimes, you know, if this video is going to be on the shelf for 5 years or so, their position might change. They might go from manager to senior management, whatever that may be. And so what we recommend is you can put the name and just the title of your company underneath. That'll save you from having to go back and update the video every time detail of that changes. Also, you know, specific addresses. Unless you want people coming to your front door and taking action, you might move your business location. You might add a location over, you know, a shorter period of time. And so avoiding those are very useful.
Yeah, and you know, speaking of employees, you know, what you want to do is make sure you choose employees for your videos that are going to be there for the long haul too. So, you know, if you're going to pick someone to be a testimonial or to talk about your company, you know, someone who you know is going to last, you know, the length of the video that you want it to be on for. So if you want you want your video to last for about 5 or 6 years, you know, don't pick some employee that may not be there in the next 2.
Yeah, and that brings us to our third tip, and that is to have a plan for employee turnover. You know, like you said, pick the employees that you think have longevity. Also, as part of your company paperwork, make sure you have an agreement in there that says, like, even if you leave the company, you still would have permission to use their likeness in the video going forward. Another important thing to think about when you're planning out the video is maybe get 1 or 2 people to make the same sort of statement. Have a backup, so that way later on when you might have that change of employee, you can swap in a different employee in order to keep that video with just a small edit.
Oh, that's so clever, Ezra. Yeah, yeah. Being able to have backups and something just in case is a really good tip, not just for an employee on camera, but it also brings us to our 4th tip.
Oh yeah. Another thing to consider is make sure that you have a backup and someplace to store your video footage. Oftentimes we have a client that might have a video that we need to edit, but all they have is the YouTube download from a few years ago. If you hold on to the source files of the video, you can cut for new interviews, you can swap in some B-roll. That's another thing. Oftentimes there's someone in B-roll that you want in one video but not in another video. And so holding on to the footage is very important. And it could be as simple as just having, you know, a hard drive labeled in your office. If you already have a server with some file management, video files can get a little bit big, but you know, if you plan to have maybe a terabyte or so of storage devoted for each video shoot you do, that will give you the tools to revise and revisit videos in the future.
Yeah, and also, you know, you're in good news if you're with us as your video team. We actually hold on to your video production files for the first year, just about, and after that, the files themselves, even from the start of our production, we say we give you the files, the raw files. So a lot of production companies may not give you the raw files, but us, we decide that we want to give you those files because, you know, we think that that's important for you to have just in case you need to make changes or like for the long run, and then you'll have them. So that's important for us to make sure that you are the most successful with your production. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and having access to those files, you know, it's never a relationship you want to have with a client where you're holding footage hostage or anything like that. We want to make sure that that interaction is positive. We're a team that you can rely on, and we want you coming back because you want to see what we're doing, see the creative process, get that great video product. We're not here because have your footage locked down or anything like that.
That's right, and that's why we talk about the fifth. The fifth topic about how to keep a video on for a long time is to, number 5, use a great team with the footage, with the cameras that are up to date, and you're using 4K. So that way, your footage is not going to be, it's going to be future-proof. it won't be outdated and looking outdated, like using VHS or something. You know, you know, as soon as you see the footage, you know right away that this was shot a little while ago. So if you have a video production company that's using the highest available cameras and quality cameras and the highest quality aspect ratios that you can use right now, that's going to make sure that your video looks really good for the long run.
Yeah, and I mean, the amount that camera technology has improved in the last 5-10 years has been amazing. And since we've always used like such a high standard of video, we pulled back video from like 5 years in our archive, and it still holds up. We were using, you know, the top-end cinema cameras back then, and you can see that, you know, there's this really good continuity. We can mix our modern footage with footage from a little bit ago, and it still looks high quality, and you wouldn't even know it wasn't shot today.
Yeah, so it's really important to make sure that you have the best quality equipment and the best quality team to make sure that your video production will last a long time. You made a big investment in that video production, and you should be able to use it for as long as you can.
Absolutely.
Well, that's our tips for today to make sure that you have a successful video production in the future. We're going to show you that the C&S description in the comments, and we didn't get too many too many comments about the artwork from last week. No suggestions of what we could put into the AI, but we're still here, so the AI hasn't beat us yet. If you want to see some of the creations we made last week, check out our podcast from last week, The Machine, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Yeah, and as always, you know, please like, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear your feedback on the videos we're making, and hope to see you next week.
Take care.